Ah, sois le bienvenu. Respecte rien ni personne. Si nous les laissons faire.
Where are you going? We'd love to give you a grand view from the top of a point.
Il nous aura fallu ça. last few facts, I get some notes from Mom saying I love you. I update her school sign for the new year. I love capturing a snapshot of her ever-changing style for as long as she'll let me. And we finish the day with a pizza party, because celebrating together means a chance to stop time for a moment. And my personal back-to-school tradition, finding everything she needs for a great year on Etsy.
Over the last 20 years or so, there have been a number of television seasons that have aged incredibly well, becoming more appreciated as the years pass by, with some noticeable examples of this phenomena being The Wire Season 3, Breaking Bad Season 4, and the opening season of Lost, with all three of them aging like a fine wine. But for me personally, I don't think there's any better example of this than The Walking Dead Season 2, as when it originally aired in October 2011, it completely split the fan base down the middle. Some people, like myself, appreciated the slow burn and character-driven dynamics, whilst others slammed it for being too slow, repetitive, or even outright boring. Yet today, over a decade after its release, Season 2 of The Walking Dead has managed to completely flip the script. So much so, it's now gotten to the point where it isn't just viewed differently within the show's fanbase, but it now also stands as a the season of the entire show. But just how did a season once labelled as an uneventful story by many, plagued with behind-the-scenes issues, transform into a masterpiece of tension and character dynamics? Well, today we're going to delve into how this season found a brand new lease on life, and just why we were completely wrong about The Walking Dead Season 2. I think that the massive reason Season 2 is received so much better nowadays comes down to how we the consumers watch television, and more specifically, the rise of streaming platforms like Netflix and Disney Plus. Because you have to remember, back in 2011, when this season first aired on cable television, episodes were released weekly. And to make matters worse, after the mid-season finale pretty much dead already, fans then had to wait nearly 4 long months for the show's return. And whilst yes, mid-season breaks are standard for network television, that format can completely destroy the momentum of a slow-burning narrative, which Season 2 undeniably is. At the time of its release, the single biggest complaint from fans and critics was the season suffered from its slow pacing and repetitive search for Sophia. For a while, Season 2 divided the fan base, but that was all about to change. As a year after Season 2 first aired on television, it was finally released on DVD, allowing fans to skip the weekly schedule constraints and binge multiple episodes at a time. In addition, in late 2013, Season 2 of The Walking Dead would also hit Netflix's catalogue of shows. And almost overnight, the pacing issues a weekly format initially gave Season 2 would fix themselves. As in a now bingeable format, you no longer had to wait 7 days or even months in some instances to see the search for Sophia progress or the deterioration of Rick and Shane's friendship. You could now watch 3 or 4 episodes in a single sitting, which in turn really allowed the incredible psychological tension and atmospheric dread that Season 2 handles so phenomenally to actually build up without interruption. And today, streaming has almost completely replaced cable television, meaning newer fans of the series and old fans alike who've gone back and rewatched the show can now watch the season in a format that much better suits its storytelling, playing into its strengths, because we are now witnessing the next generation of fans, people who might not have been old enough to watch the show as it first aired, and in turn, they are falling in love with Season 2, which has made a very noticeable difference to the season's online presence in the last 5 years or so. I'd also argue video essays on YouTube have done wonders for Season 2's public reputation. Now, it's absolutely no secret that Season 2 is my personal favourite of The Walking Dead, as I'm sure many of you know by now, and I'll take any excuse to talk about my beloved farm era. But channels way bigger and older than mine have amassed hundreds of thousands of views, making videos on the love they have for Season 2, such as the Thrifty Typewriters retrospective on it a couple of years ago, which I'm sure has directly played into a number of older fans and newer fans giving it another go through streaming, and in turn opening their eyes to this season. One thing Season 2 does undeniably brilliantly is character dynamics, and throughout its 13-episode runtime, we witnessed some of the best writing in the entire series. Take Daryl and Carol. They were largely background characters in Season 1, and with Daryl not even existing in the comics, the show was in completely uncharted territory with his character. But alongside giving Daryl this intriguing subplot about an identity crisis and struggling to fit into the group, Sophia's disappearance allowed us to see a totally different side of him. He searches tirelessly, even nearly coming to blows with Shane when he suggests they call it the search. And pairing Daryl with Carol, another almost outcast from the group at this point in the story, in a very wholesome and genuine platonic friendship, which is surprisingly rare in media nowadays, was a stroke of genius. The Cherokee Rose talk Daryl delivers remains one of the absolute best and most powerful moments of the season, and over a decade later, that bond is still one of the most iconic relationships in the entire universe. And its foundations were built right here at the farm. And this is where hindsight comes in. I think fans would go on to watch the journeys down throughout the series, so it makes rewatching Season 2 exceedingly those early.
I was dodging patrols. Danton gave quite the speech. We should return to Austria as soon as possible.
Then why not stay as my guest? Traitor.
George Danton, a revolutionary leader.
Then, of course, you have another dynamic that's not only hilarious to watch, but also serves as the core spine of the season, and that is, of course, Dale versus Shane. What makes their clashes so compelling is that Dale clearly doesn't have Shane. He is essentially the only person in the camp who sees Shane who he's trying to become. Whilst Rick thinks he can work around their differences and the rest of rely on him for survival, Dale purely views him as a ticking time bomb whose morality is pragmatic. Also, I love how Dale somehow guesses that Shane killed Otis, even with the lack of evidence, and basically just instinctively accuses him of the crime until the rest of the group just accept it as fact. But the two of them have some truly magnificent intense standoffs throughout this season, mixed in with just enough comedic relief to make some of their encounters genuinely fun. What do you do? And the first time I ever saw Season 2 those years ago, I was fully convinced that Shane was going to murder Dale. That's how tense it is between these two characters.
You're just in time. Hold them
Another organic call, delightfully simple, like a piece of honor. So simple, yet so profound.
There must be another way out.
Yes.
California organic almonds, with just almonds, water, and salt.
Nothing
Release your creative potential with SketchUp AI. Create renderings and stunning visuals with speed and efficiency, empowering you to bring your visions to life and communicate impactful design intent. Newly launched AI-assisted capabilities help you quickly create beautiful objects for images and let you message SketchUp with in-app AI guidance. Visit the SketchUp site and get started.
With the scene in the woods of Dale holding a gun to Shane being one of the most unsettling moments of the whole season. But this dynamic represents so much more than just a petty view of convenient people mixed in, because it's a representation of humanity. Dale represents the old rules, democracy, passion, while Shane, on the other hand, represents the new, having a more pragmatic approach to survival and viewing morality as a liability that will eventually be. The writers here took the two extremes of our group and made them battle it out. The winner of this ethical debate ends up being Shane, as Dale meets a cruel and grisly demise after advocating for the group to spare Randall, suggesting this new world is survival of the fittest, and that's a world part of one of the best monologues of the entire series. He then, frustrated with our passion for Randall, wanders off, getting out of water, and unfortunately dies. And in many ways, the debate over Randall's fate and the group's moral compass died right along with him. As when Dale passed, any real hope of holding on to the rules of the old world died along with him. and losing him kind of proves Shane's point in the most tragic manner. The show's most iconic romance is also born in season 2 with Glenn and Maggie meeting on the farm. This does a superb job at breaking up the heavier themes of the series, and their dynamic provides a rare ray of hope within the show. The relationship grounds the story and proves just how resilient the human spirit can really be. And it forces Glenn to stop viewing himself as just an asset and gives him something worth not just fighting, but surviving. This season, Glenn and Maggie become a highlight for many, and their romance is truly beautiful, as their dynamic acts as the beating heart of not just season 2, but the entire show for a period of time. And then there's my favourite dynamic in the entire cinematic universe, and that is of course Rick and Shane. Watching this friendship deteriorate into a deadly rivalry was just a joy to watch. It's without a doubt the spine of season 2's narrative, and Jon Bernthal and Andrew Lincoln have so much on-screen chemistry, it makes every scene they're a part of feel so powerful. It's two brothers watching each other drift to opposite ends of the human spectrum. Rick spends the majority of the season desperately clinging on to the belief that the world can still have order, whereas Shane, on the other hand, is really accepting.
I've got a message for you!
The writers do a phenomenal job at using Shane as almost this dark Rick, and every interaction feels like an explosive argument just waiting to happen. Now, I've talked about this dynamic and why I love it so many times on the channel, so I'll try and keep it short this time here. But all that slow-burning tension pays off in an explosive moment, as we see Shane fake Randall's escape and attempt to kill his best friend. Herschel's farm gets overrun and burns to the ground, and our group once again lose their illusion of safety. And Shane's death serves as tragic irony. Shane tries to murder Rick because he thinks Rick is too weak to leave his world. And by forcing Rick to defend himself and his family, Rick becomes the very person Shane believed was. And the death of Shane changed Rick forever, resulting in the infamous Rick Tater speech we see at the end of season 2. Season 2 is just so narratively rich, and there are many fantastic dynamics we haven't even mentioned yet. Herschel and Rick, Shane and Carl, Glenn and Dale, and although the writers may have forgotten some characters existed, like my boy T-Dog, like seriously, he didn't have anything to do for the entire season, other than just randomly flexing that he could teleport. But other than a very few minor nitpicks, Season 2 made us all care about the characters, and is the reason The Walking Dead became so much more than just a generic zombie show. And I think when people go back and appreciate that, many of the core dynamics that helped make the series the largest show on the planet at one point in time are planted and nurtured within Season 2. And I think the rise in popularity recently is because fans have started to appreciate how Season 2 slowed down the narrative and established some truly brilliant relationships within the story, allowing the future seasons of the show to once again focus on the more action-oriented aspects of the story, knowing the emotional groundwork had already been laid because of Season 2. Season 1 of The Walking Dead is phenomenal and does an expert job at introducing and immersing us all into this cinematic universe. But Season 2 transitions the series to focus on the real threat of the apocalypse in this world. That is, of course, the unseen humans. And in many ways, it gives the series its first true antagonist with the character of Shane Watch. Prior to the farm, the Walkers were the primary conflict. Every episode was built around surviving the undead threats. But Season 2 executed a massive shift on the show told that story, and it proved that in this world there were far bigger threats than just the bundle of corpses, and sets up for the series' main antagonists like the Governor to come and take center stage. By trapping our survivors on Herschel's farm and stripping away the almost non-stop action of Season 1, the writers forced the characters to stop running and actually confront each other. They dialed back the emphasis on walkers and horror to construct a psychological progression. And in turn, we saw how fear, grief, and clashing survival philosophies could truly tear a group apart from the inside. And that very deliberate, slow-burning tension was a massive creative gamble at the time. But it established the blueprints the series would go on to follow for years to come. And this is precisely why Season 2 has aged so expertly well. As the franchise expanded over the next decade, stretching across 11 seasons and multiple spin-offs, there has admittedly been a noticeable decline in writing quality.
It's that, yeah. People was returning to the trouble.
glad I killed your brother. Glad you get the credit.
dev/10pm.
Stay down.
Hey, that's cool. I know you're looking for a little treat to help you get through your day, so I'm thinking camping savings. You don't need it. What you actually need is to save. And there are easy ways to save, like canceling subscriptions and charges, or negotiating bills and paying for them. You know what's scary? But you're not alone. With Big Financial Friend Experian, just log back into the Experian app and let your BFF negotiate your bills and cancel unnecessary subscriptions for you. Without even trying, you could save $631 a year on average, and use that to chip away at some of your loans, start saving for your next rainy day, or even get yourself a little treat. If you have the cash, why not? So go ahead, log back into the Experian app and start saving. It's that easy.
Which in turn means a lot of fans started looking back at the Farm era with unwavering love. What was once criticised as an uneventful slog now stands out as a source of the purest, most disciplined writing in the entire franchise. There's no stormtroopers, complex storylines, or a massive cast behind Season 2, because it feels remarkably grounded, intimate, and raw. It's gritty and engaging, and the decline of the later seasons actually elevated Season 2, in hindsight, for a lot of people. It proved that the show was arguably at its very best when it slowed down and treated the apocalypse like a study in human survival. And I think a brilliant way of summing it up is nostalgia. Now that word holds a lot of weight whilst also having positive and negative connotations, because is Season 2 really a masterpiece, or are we just looking at it through our rose-tinted glasses? But from an extremely biased point of view, I'm siding with the writing, because I think it's perfect. It brings me back to a period of my life where the only thing that mattered was when the next episode of The Walking Dead was coming out. And that iconic film mixed in with the stunning visuals of Georgia made Virtual's Farm feel oddly familiar, despite the fact I've never visited. It was a time in the series where so much of the story was yet to be told, and now we've seen the entirety of the main show. We can now go back with closer connections to many of these characters and appreciate them a lot more in what was a very transitional period of The Walking Dead's lifestyle.
Yes, you!
Now, I think in hindsight, it's easy to look here in Season 2 appears and assume it was smooth sailing, but to be quite frank, get it? Anyway, it was anything but. As after Season 1's success, the then showrunner Darabont asked AMC for a higher budget due to the colossal success of The Walking Dead season. However, instead of increasing the budget, considering Season 2 had 13 episodes, 7 more than the previous season, AMC decided to cut it. This understandably left out Furious as he wanted to explore the world of Atlanta and include an early model episode from the perspective of a military soldier during the collapse of society. But with a budget cut and more episodes to produce, this would no longer be possible. So Frank Darabont was subsequently fired in July of 2011, just over 3 months before Season 2 was due to air. So Glenn Mazzara, who was in Season 1, stepped up to take the mantle, and things behind the scenes got very important. Darabont sued AMC in a legal battle that would last for over a decade. Jeffrey DeMont, the actor who portrays Dale, asked to be written off the show due to Darabont's dismissal, and the creative team had to rewrite a whole new version of Season 2 in just a matter of months. So by all accounts, Season 2 should have been a complete carnage. But somehow, it just isn't. And I think that's a huge testament to Glenn Mazzara and the entire cast who delivered stellar performances. Now, if you want to learn more about Season 2's turbulent production, you can watch my video on it at the top right of the screen. But I think the biggest compliment you can give Season 2 is barely anybody mentions its facts nowadays, because the season is so good, it's as if nothing happened behind the scenes. I mean, you have to remember, back in 2011, Darabont, one of Hollywood's most acclaimed directors, was suing AMC, and there was so much negative press going into Season 2 of the show. Some fans even boycotted the series due to the unruly firing. The show was losing one of its most pivotal characters at the time in Dale, who requested to be killed off, and the budget disputes left a sour taste in many fans' mouths, feeding into a possibly unfair first viewing of Season 2 due to the negative press. But the fact it's turbulent burn and huge controversy at the time no longer gets mentioned is just a testament to how good this season of television actually is. And without all that negativity surrounding it, fans now go into season 2 with neutral opinions, blissfully unaware of all its behind-the-scenes problems. To be honest, it's an outright miracle season 2 came out the way it did, and when you realise the season spends the majority of the time on Herschel's farm purely because the budget wouldn't stretch far enough to explore other areas, you have to just applaud the writers for turning what should have been a very big negative into a genius character twist.
Updating her school site and throwing inspiring to share content. Big division, putting everything on it.
Take him from behind.
Prefer the GLP-1 pill to lose weight? So, I never intended to be super skinny. I've always been a big guy. But because I noticed how unhealthy I felt when I was bigger, I just wanted to feel healthy. And then my friend told me about weight loss programs. Hims is now offering the Wegovy pill, an affordable GLP-1 that's FDA approved for weight loss. You can get started for just $39 a month with an active Hims member. You take an online assessment, then connect with a licensed provider. The terms of the prescription is right for you. Are you ready to see progress? Take the online consultation to get started.
The truth is, season 2 of The Walking Dead hasn't changed at all, but us, the audience, have. And its rise in popularity comes from a number of factors, whether it's an appreciation of...
Let's try and get on top of here.
How streaming has largely solved its pacing issues, the lack of controversy and negative press that now surrounds it, how it creates immense tension and rewards viewers with a satisfying final act, the dynamics and the foundations it built for the future of the series, or just nostalgia. Put it down in whatever you want, but its newfound appreciation amongst the fan base makes me enjoy it. Season 2 was not just a happier time in the series, but it takes me personally back to a much simpler time in my life. It's a season of television I will never ever get bored of watching, and always was, and always will be, my favourite season of any television programme ever made. It's a massive throwback to my childhood, although this, admittedly, is a very biased video essay, as I also wanted it to serve as almost a love letter to the farm era. Putting my bias aside, it's clear we as a fan base now appreciate season 2 a lot more than we ever did when it first released. And I think it's aged incredibly well and will continue to do so over the following decades. With that being said, that's a delve into The Walking Dead Season 2's resurgence in popularity. But let me know down below in the comments what your favourite season of The Walking Dead is. And if you've enjoyed today's video, please do like and subscribe, and hype the video if you're on mobile, as it helps the channel out a ton. And we're on the journey to 50,000 subscribers, which just feels surreal to say. But once again, a huge thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one.
I'm with you. Don't rush in. Let's wear him. No! Die! I'll have your head! Get over here, face me, dog!
That's all of them. Okay, time to get out of there.
L'ami, si tu pars maintenant, tu vas t'agresser. Aujourd'hui seulement. Allez, on en profite.
Le coca.
Paris's secrets are safe from the Austrians. Well done.
Quelle histoire de tout cela? Dame! Quelle histoire! C'est que j'ai donc une raison à faire, moi.
Come here, you maggot! I'll throw your boat to spite your powder! Where do you think you're going?
Tout allait bien quand tout d'un coup, elle disparaît.
I'm on the mission for Sniper gang got the vision on. Ever since they go to prison for ran and dropped 30 pistols, start tripping on it. What's the nigga when it's just a gang? You know that's a bust case. Penalty is bad, take his last step. Bullets in the ladies, I'm waiting. I'm hating, I'm a general nigga. I'm about to put that in you, nigga. Niggas switching, baby, now I'm spitting on the money you're getting. I want them niggas. I was with this gang banging. You was trying to be like 22, man. But it's more niggas. But you was really sleep, tell the truth. And I know I alarm you. Nobody thinks. Sniper, blick you, blick you, blick you. Started telling me he's taking a vet. Till I get hit with a brick. That's how you treat a vest. I touch with spinning a flesh. Tap you spinning a vest. Go back at a quick to the thing. And then he twists to your finger sticks. We're down with this and down. Some niggas who have it. Yes, it's total. One of the checks I call it. I'm seeing the thing. I'm on the two like solo. Shopping in the city. I'm into the meat. Yeah, I'm in the face. Niggas breaking their faces. Niggas come to me. Hey, look, pull that on the beat. I got that bass. Hey, why I try that shit? I like the beat, but I'm